Hey everyone, it's Paul here. Just getting started with the live stream here. I'll officially start it at the top of the hour, but I just want to make sure that it's working, right? I've had problems with live streams in the past, so hopefully this stays stable and doesn't disconnect and so on. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll just hang out here for a bit. So a little explanation about this video. This is, I'm going to be looking at Adobe eLearning's YouTube channel video called Sneak Peek of the Upcoming Version of Adobe Captivate - Project Charm. Just to be perfectly clear, I have no inside information about this. Everything I've gathered is from this video. So but what I did do, and I'm suspecting that maybe a lot of you haven't done this, I've looked very closely at the video for hints as to what I think is going to be coming soon. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. We'll just wait till the top of the hour before I actually start the official part of this live stream, but I think I'm going to do this moving forward where I jump on a little bit early so that we have an opportunity to fix any glitches or deal with any issues. So hopefully today works well. We'll see. So how these live streams work. Yeah, so I just got a little warning here. So should be okay. Let's see if I can, it's saying my settings are a little off. So what we'll try and do is just adjust that. If it lets me adjust it on the fly. I just increased my bit rate, so I may have to restart this. We'll see. Can't tell. Everything seems to be fairly normal. So, yeah, I think we're good here. I'm going to switch to black and then come back in with the introduction, and we'll get started in a moment. Hey everyone, Paul Wilson here. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than some of the other videos on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at what's going to be new in Adobe Captivate in the year 2022. Now, to be perfectly clear, everything I'm going to be talking about today is available publicly through Adobe's own video, which I've just paused on my other screen here. It's called Sneak Peek of the Upcoming Version of Adobe Captivate - Project Charm. What I'm going to be doing differently than what's in this particular video is I'm going to take a close look at all of the screens that Adobe is sharing with us and point a few things out that I noticed. I'm sure many of you have seen this video, so no surprises here. And again, to the folks, for the folks at Adobe's sake, obviously what we're seeing here is a pre-release version of Adobe Captivate, or Project Charm, if you will. So, things you may see may not end up in the final version, but I definitely wanted to just highlight a few things. Hopefully, this is something that, people are looking at and seeing, some interesting things to look forward to, of course. So let's just go back to my webcam for a moment here. So again, just to emphasize here, what I did is I looked at this video and I went through and I found things that just sort of jumped out at me. These aren't necessarily the features that Adobe is trying to showcase to you. Just if you look at the screenshot, you can look at a few things and see what's going on. I'm not doing anything here that would suggest that Adobe Captivate's going to be radically different than what they showed. But again, I just want to emphasize that what you're seeing here, of course, may not end up in the final version. We've seen that before. Anyone who's gone to the Adobe conferences knows that, you'll see these sneak peeks. We've seen sneak peeks that have never ended up in the product itself. So as far as the chat is concerned today, obviously it's restricted to members of my YouTube channel. So you need to join my YouTube channel if you have questions for me. It doesn't have to be about this video. It can be about anything you want, but go ahead and put your questions in the chat and your comments as well. So let's take a look. Let's go back to my desktop view here, and you can see I've paused the video. I'm literally playing this from YouTube. I've paused the video on the first image that we get to see in this video, and that's the Welcome to Project Charm window here that you see here. So what this tells me, when you look at this closely, you see, of course, let me just turn down my volume a little bit here. I was going into the red there. Default project is no longer called blank project. And that's a good thing too, because you can have a blank responsive project as well. It's not built yet, so therefore blank. So to me, what default project means is a couple of things. They've given it a name that probably makes a little bit more sense, but fixed aspect ratio e-learning is not going away. So, I sort of suspected that maybe, at some point, and I suspect that this will be true, at some point, all e-learning will be responsive. We're not there yet, so you're still going to see default project, or what we used to call blank project, in place there. So, no surprise there as well. Obviously, responsive projects. This video does reveal some news in how responsive projects are going to be developed. I suspect that fluid boxes are going away. And for that matter, maybe breakpoint is going away. So one of the things that I'm very curious about is, and this relates not just to this issue, but to many issues within, of course, Adobe Captivate, is what is the backwards compatibility going to be with older project files? So when I look at this, I think, okay, responsive project. Later in this demo, we see an example of how responsive projects can be built. Does that mean that I can't load my old Captivate 2019 or Captivate 2017, or for that matter, our old Captivate 8 projects into this tool? I usually don't recommend that you upgrade from that many versions, but certainly I've got project files that go back many generations of Captivate, and they're quite, they're fine for opening in 2019. When my clients from 4 or 5 years ago reach out to me and say, Paul, we need you to publish a new version of that project, I'd like to know that I'd be able to open it up in Project Charm when that comes out. Virtual reality is obviously going to be here. Software simulation, video demo, these are cornerstone features within Adobe Captivate. So good to see that they're all still there. It looks like a lot of the content that would be in the Captivate store, things like templates and stuff like that, will be available from this welcome screen. It's almost like the Project Charm welcome screen is a combination of the store as well. I think that's a good place for it, but we'll see what Adobe finally comes out with. And it looks like over here on the right-hand side, there's some dynamic content there as well. Let's go ahead and play this a little bit and move beyond the welcome screen here. Let's just pause it right there. So this, let me move my mouse away so that it just kind of clears off a little bit here. The user interface for Adobe Captivate, let's just say 2022, if that's what they end up calling it. The user interface uses something that Adobe calls Spectrum, and that's sort of their new design language, if you will. And what I'd recommend you do is I'm just going to open up another browser tab here and recommend that you check out spectrum.adobe.com if you'd like to learn more about the user experience that you can expect to see at some point here. So if we open this up, you can see that they have a page dedicated to, what the foundation is, the content, components, patterns, tools, resources, that you can expect to find in this tool when it comes out. So you can get a sense of what some of the the principles of Spectrum, some resources here. So for those that want to do a deeper dive into how this new user interface has been developed, you can learn quite a bit from this website. I'm not going to go too much into detail here, but I just wanted to point that out. So when you look at, of course, the user interface, it's really like a nice, clean left to right design. I don't see a lot of really things that will date the application, which is part of the problem that we're dealing with today. When you look at Adobe Captivate, it feels old. It isn't necessarily that old, but it feels old because, of course, the last time it was updated was several versions ago. Version 8 was the big change there. I just want to call out Bob here, who just put a comment in the chat. He said, "Thank you for hosting this stream. I've been wondering about some of these possible updates myself." You're welcome, Bob. Hopefully we'll give you some interesting things to learn about here. But this is what I did. Like, I literally watched their video from, the 10 minutes that I think it actually runs for. But then I went back and I just paused it at points and looked closely at things that are on the screen here. So if you take a look, you've got your sort of basic toolbar on the left here. A couple of things that jumped out at me from this slide was a few things here, like the slide size 1024 by 768. That's a little different than the default. That may be a standard size. The thing that I find kind of interesting is that the drop-down menu, it's a little hard to see when you're pausing the YouTube video here, but let's play this for a little bit here and we'll just see. So one of the things that jumped out at me was the drop-down menus at the top. File, edit, image, layer. That's kind of interesting. What does layer mean? Could that be something similar to Storyline? Could it be layers like in Photoshop? Right? We don't really know. I'll just back this up again a little bit there. The next thing, of course, was type, select, filter. Does filter have to do with images, perhaps? Or and then next to that is 3D. And 3D is kind of interesting because a few years back, let's just go back to my webcam. A few years back, I'm just going to find a prop here. We'll use my USB Yoda here. A few years back, we saw a preview of where virtual reality could go. So you have your background that, as you spin around in the virtual headset or click with the mouse and drag it, you can move that background to see different views within a 360-degree environment. But what Adobe was suggesting, that you could place a 3D object in the middle of your scene, and as you rotated, you would see the other sides of that object, in all directions, of course. So that could be what 3D means. I don't know. But I would suspect that we're going to see some updates to virtual reality here. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear, not just the members, but anyone viewing this video. I'd love to know what you think some of these drop-down menus refer to here. So let me know in the comments and tell me what you think is happening here. What does layer mean? What do you think filter is? What do you think 3D is? So now you can see that Pooja here, who's the presenter in this case, is selecting different slides, adding slides, and choosing different design options. This is kind of interesting where you can replace your image. And here's what jumped out at me. A couple of things that I thought were really interesting here. Obviously, in the properties inspector, we have some of the things that you would, typically find, the width, the height, the X and Y coordinates, rotation. You can flip the image up, horizontally or vertically. Transparency, that's nice to have right there on the display. Alignment tools. But these image presets are kind of cool. Normal, obviously that's what the image is. Overlay, looks like it's sort of semi-transparent. Colorize, that's different. That's not something we've had before. So that might be an interesting opportunity to, give you a little bit of Photoshop capabilities right inside of Captivate here. The other one that jumped out at me was this blur option. That is something I've wanted for a long time. I'll bring in an image and my intention is not to use it as a focal point in the training, but rather to, just create some background, and often you want sort of that bokeh effect, that background blurred effect with your, your foreground objects in focus. Well, here's an opportunity that allows you to do it. Brightness, contrast, all of these right within the interface itself, which is pretty exciting here. And of course, the ability to crop right within the stage. Now, here are some interesting things too that I noticed. Pooja has now selected some text on screen. And again, if you're listening to our presentation, it's pretty basic. But here's some interesting stuff here that jumped out at me. We've always been able to do, regular, bold, italic, underlined. Strike through is nice. That's kind of cool. Subscript, I'm guessing is what this is. And be able to do superscript and subscript. That's kind of cool. And I'm also looking here, when you take a look at these text options, we've got the text spacing. This is something you can do in Photoshop and Illustrator. And of course, I don't know, is this the actual height or line spacing? But, there's a lot of controls here that are definitely new. So I'm looking forward to hopefully having more paragraph controls, more of the formatting that we're used to in other like document editing tools as well. But let's just play a little bit further here and we'll take a look. Now, this is kind of interesting. Let me stop at this point here. We've got UI components. These are interactive elements that we know of today. Button is obvious. Checkbox is obvious. That one's kind of nice. Radio button, we've had those before, but maybe this is a different form. Text entry boxes or input fields as they're being called here. Drop down, nice. No longer do we have to rely on some kind of creative stuff. Slider, thank you, Adobe. Slider is something that if this truly comes to fruition, I'm excited by that, because how often have you wanted to do some sort of slider functionality or whatever? Mouse, dial, these are all things that we've often seen in competing authoring tools, and now we're seeing them. So again, it pays to look closely at these previews that Adobe is sharing with you. Let's play a little bit further here and see what happens here. Let's just go forward. So in this case here, the button appearance. So again, multi-state objects. We've got normal, hover, click state, and it looks like when you move forward in this tutorial a little bit here, let's get past Puja and just see if we can find. Okay, so she's now adding some stock images here. This is cool. We saw the image layout here. Import audio, of course, that makes sense. Let me pause it at this point. I want to emphasize something I saw here, and this is huge for me. I'm currently working on a project for one of my clients and manually typing in closed captioning. And this one jumped out at me like a million miles an hour here. Uh, import. How would you like to import your closed captions? I don't know if this works on an entire project base. I don't know if it works with like SRT files, like what you would get downloaded from YouTube, for example. But you know, this to me is fantastic. I don't want to have to manually type this out. So that makes a big deal for me. You know, and of course you can bring in audio that's background audio and loop it and stuff like that. So really cool stuff. What Puja is showing here is how you can use sort of a staggered image effect, which is really kind of cool. There's a little function here, distribute sequentially. So if you're doing sort of like a slideshow of different images, you can set that up, and then of course it's relatively easy to edit objects on your timeline. My guess though, folks, is that this was edited for the purposes of the video. I don't think it's so easy as just simply clicking on them. You probably still have to do a very similar workflow to what we're seeing here as well. Let's pause for a moment here. She did select one of the objects on the screen here. Take a look at these entrance effects. So we've got no entrance effect, but fade in, scale in, stretch in, slide in, roll in, bounce, rotate in, and I'm guessing that there's more of these. Looking forward to seeing that. That might be interesting to see if we've got more options than we do today. You can see here we've got entrance, emphasis, and exit. So similar to what we have today, but just a nice new user interface that makes it a lot easier to add those transition effects here. So again, really looking forward to seeing what this looks like in the final version here. Let's pause again there. We've got emphasis, we've got wobble, bounce, pulsate, blink. I don't know what these look like, but again, I'm looking forward to seeing anything new that we have going on for this here. So, and I like the fact here that you can copy and paste animations. That's something that's lacking today. I have this course that I'm working on right now for a client, and you know, the thing that I've come up with a really nice custom effect. It's sort of this subtle zoom and fade in effect that I'm using on literally hundreds of objects in the project. Wouldn't it be nice if I could copy animation and just select a bunch of things and paste it, rather than having to recreate this animation literally hundreds of times in that project. So this is cool. There's also scale, blur, bounce that we can see there. Pretty exciting stuff here. Let's move forward. So you can see this interaction that Puja has started to create here. Now, this is where I'm excited, but I have some concern about building these sorts of interactions. So she's created, or maybe it's automatic, I'm not sure, a hover, visited, and a selected state for these buttons here. And let's play this through and we'll just see what she's done here. So she's created a multi-state object. I don't know what it's called here, but you can see there's state M1, M2, M3, M4. So this represents each of these hot spots that are there. And I've done these before. You can do these presently in Adobe Captivate. The part that's exciting is that, she's got the, excuse me, she's got the multi-state objects in place. She's going to set up triggers. And so here's what she's doing. She's selecting those hot spots and setting state of the target object to be associated with M1. So when you click this first hotspot, it will display the appropriate portion of the multi-state object. And so that's cool. Let's play this a little bit further and we'll see what else happens here. So she's literally copying the interaction, selecting the remaining interactions, and pasting it. No surprise there. But here's the part that I think is really cool. She's doing some adjustments. And let's skip past this a little bit till we get to this point here. So what she's doing now is she's setting up a trigger. Like today we would do this in advanced actions. She's setting up a trigger that says, once you've clicked all these objects, what do you want to have happen? So it's kind of like she's selecting which objects would be qualified for the click, and then she's going to show the next button. So this isn't all that different than writing an advanced action. In fact, it's a very object-oriented version of writing advanced actions. Where my concern comes into play is, again, if I'm opening up that old project, what happens to the advanced actions that I wrote in Captivate 2019 or Captivate 2017, what have you? Will they get converted into this new style trigger condition panel? I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to call it advanced actions. I don't know if that's the right word. But again, I'm really excited to see this. Incidentally, I have not seen Project Charm at this point, the pre-release that we all signed up for back in September for the Adobe eLearning World Conference, or since then. But that should be sometime this month. I've got my fingers crossed. I actually really don't know very much more than all of you, other than my deep analysis of this video. I've looked very closely at it and seen some of these things I'm pointing out to today. But I don't have it right now, but I'll put a link in the description to where you can sign up to be a part of this pre-release. Can't guarantee you will be included, but I can send you to the form that you can fill out with your name, your email address, and so forth, so that you can be a part of the pre-release and see it when it comes out. The only thing I'm expecting this month for sure is Adobe Captivate 2019 11.8, which is an update, a final update to Captivate 2019 that includes many of the fixes that have come down the pike, to deal with any bugs or issues that the current version of Captivate's working with there. Let me just look in the chat here. Stephen was wondering whether Charm will enable us to edit shared actions and whether the JavaScript interface will be improved. I have no idea, Stephen. Your guess is as good as mine. Everything I know about this tool at this point is based on what's in this video from Adobe. So I have no secret, no secrets that you don't already have. Looks like E. Miller said, and does the new style have the full functionality of the previous way of creating advanced? Again, I hope so. I'm really curious to know what happens when I bring my old projects into Project Charm. Maybe it's not even possible. I don't know. And again, if you have an idea of how you think it might be, feel free to put it in the comments below. I'd love to see what people think. Or if you're with me live right now, you can certainly type it in the live chat. Just so everyone knows, live chat's only available to members of my YouTube channel, not subscribers, members. These are persons who, pay a monthly fee to get access to premium content as well. So dear Lord, please fix the video demo crash in 11.8. I hope so too. In fact, I have not been able to use video demo in over a year because it just won't run with my Logitech webcam. So, yes, and I think it's safe to say, Stephen, that any piece of Captivate that relies on Flash, that's going to be gone. In fact, I'm confident. If there's one thing I can confidently say, anything as far as publishing is concerned will all be strictly HTML5. There will be no more Flash. I'm confident that they will not release. I mean, really, they would be a terrible company if they released another version of Captivate that still had references to Flash and the old way of doing things. But anyway, let's take a look at this video. We've got a little bit more to go. It's not going to be a super long live stream. I don't have too many secrets for you, but you can see this is a pretty standard click to reveal with forced navigation, as it's often called, or in forced navigation. I like how it's just got the completed hotspots there. And of course, now the next button shows up once you've completed that. So, and the way that was set up, it didn't really require writing a script per se. It was more like selecting objects. So it kind of reminds me of object-oriented programming quite a bit. So I think that's a nice improvement here. This next little bit is talking about widgets, or a new type of widget. Don't think Shockwave Flash. I'm pretty certain these are not going to be Flash only widgets, but you can see here a lot of the sort of click to reveal. Again, you can learn a little bit by taking a look here. So we've got tabs, we've got flip cards, which is one of my favorites these days, hotspots, and accordion. Again, we might see more. Now is your opportunity, and certainly when you become a part of the pre-release program, the beta program, if you will, this will be your opportunity to provide those feedback. So when I include the link to sign up for that, and you do sign up and are accepted as a beta tester, definitely give them your feedback. I've found, it's been my experience that this sort of thing is, this is your opportunity to change the program. Obviously, they're not going to include everyone's change, but if enough people say, hey, we want this, or hey, change it so that it works like this, they will do it. And I have some personal experience with that, where, a few times in the past, when I worked for my former employer, like 7 years ago, I was lucky enough to be on a call with a member of the engineering team, and they said, what do you like about this? What do you like about that? This was before Captivate 8 and before knowledge checks. And I said, I'd love to be able to do like a knowledge check. You go, what do you mean? What's a knowledge check? Well, it's a question slide without scoring. Why would you want that? Well, sometimes I just want practice questions. So I'm not saying I invented knowledge checks, but myself and probably many other people gave them that feedback. And eventually it ended up in it ended up in the actual release of the product rather. So it's very cool that we as users can share our ideas with the Adobe team here. Let's go back to the desktop here. So this widget opportunity, I really like this because it's really simple to modify this. So you can choose the style of flip card. You can, much like the quiz panel, you can change things very easily, replace images, and show what's on the back. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Articulate Rise, which, from a perspective of usability and easy to use, You know, that's the sort of thing that we definitely want to see more of. I certainly like advanced actions. I like the ability to write my own advanced actions. But if you could show me an easy way to do that without having to write scripts every time I wanted to do something, I'll take easy any day of the week. My first priority is to rapidly develop my e-learning. It's not how clever my solution is or how advanced my interaction is. To me, if you've got something nice and simple and easy to use, I'm all for that, you know. So let's take a look at the video game. At this point here, we're going to show you a little bit about what question slides look like here. And let me quickly pause that and go back a little bit here. I think I can go back in the video a little bit, not too far, but she starts to add question slides. So here's the create new slide interaction up here in the left. Looks pretty straightforward. Blank, title slide, objective slide. We don't have that as a type of slide. Right now it's title, blank, content slide, but it looks like there's some new possibilities. I don't know if this is template based, like in other words, this is built into the theme, so that's what you're choosing, or if Captivate does give you more options of types of master slides to draw from. But looking down here, pretty normal, multiple choice, true, false, short answer, fill in the blank, matching, hotspot, sequence slide. What's this one here? Survey slide and random slide. So no big surprises here. Let's just play that out a bit more here and just see what happens here. I do like the look and feel of this question slide. It's clean, it's simple. Submit, and obviously you're going to have your properties inspector. I like that there's a few different presets. Today, you're pretty much only going to rely on what's built on the master slide. Again, I don't know if this is theme-based or whether Captivate allows you to create multiple different types of master slides. Be interesting to see this when it comes to fruition. But everything here, no surprises here. Selecting the answers a little bit different, it looks like. But captions, buttons, might be interested to see how this is done when it actually comes out here. So you can see, actually, and I should go back to that. Sorry. Let's play this little bit again. So she changes it. Notice how we're no longer dealing with radio buttons, but we have what looks like a smart shape with our answers in there. That's kind of nice. And you can also choose answers that include pictures. So that is definitely an improvement. I can't tell you how many times I've had to create a custom question slide because I want people to select an image rather than some text. So that will definitely be welcome as well. Let's see what else we have here. So text options. And I think we're about to get into, yeah, so I think all of this is pretty similar to what we have. Nice looking results slide, but I mean, you could customize that today. Some interesting options there. The thing I'm probably most interested in is what's going to happen with responsive design. Fluid boxes have been the way we've done things for the last few years. Prior to that, there were breakpoints, but the fact that they've shifted ideas over the years would definitely be an indicator to me that, you know, we're not seeing what is ultimately going to be the final version of responsive design. I've used Adobe XD. I'm not an expert, but I really like how responsive design is developed in Adobe XD. Maybe what we're going to see is something closer to that. Let's take a look at the next couple of minutes of video here. Let's go back to my desktop here. And it looks like this is a preview. It'd be nice to be able to preview your project simultaneously in phone landscape mode or phone portrait mode and desktop mode, just so you can compare. But this is kind of neat. You've got some interactions that automatically adjust themselves depending on the space that you have. There's the next there. Big thing for me is question slides. My goodness, they do not work well with responsive design. So let's pause it at this point here and take a look at a couple things that do jump out at me here. Let's just play this. And so right off the bat, you've got these things called media blocks. That's kind of interesting. So you can have an image, you can have a grid of images, you can have video, image and content, multiple videos, and these are specifically designed for a responsive design project. So when I play this, the image is there. We can preview what it looks like on the different screen sizes, and that's kind of neat, these image responsive behavior options. So rather than picking a fluid box and figuring out how that's going to work, you can choose scale, or you can choose tile left or tile right or tile center, and the object will, be treated accordingly. Obviously, some nice options here for some components, caption, subtitle, border, drop shadow. Always nice to be able to do that. And you can see how this works. And it seems pretty quick to preview that. If we're adding new slides here, we could take a look at some of the templates. These are either, I don't know if these are master slides. They're built into Captivate as just a function. But we'll see, right? We'll see. So this is kind of cool. I predict that I think we're all going to like responsive design a lot better. What we're seeing in this preview seems to really indicate that it's going to work well across different devices. So looking forward to seeing that. So let's just go back to my webcam for a second here. Are there any questions that are in the live chat here that I haven't answered? It looks like a few comments, but Nick was saying it seems to take advantage of layering like all Adobe products. Yeah, I think we're going to see that. I'm really looking forward to this. I can't tell you how excited I am for Project Charm. We've seen pretty much everything in the video, but what I'd like to invite everyone to do, I'm going to close this down now, is do the same thing. If you look in the live chat here, you can see that I've posted right up top a link to that video from Adobe. Do what I've just done. Maybe you'll spot something I didn't see. Go through it, look a little closer, look and see what you've got. And if you find something really cool, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to know more about this this product even before it comes out. And I'm definitely looking forward to being a part of the beta test group. So I have nothing else I can share with you today. But I think what we're looking at is a new version of Adobe Captivate sometime in 2022, hopefully sooner rather than later, but your guess is as good as mine. And of course, keep an eye on elearning.adobe.com. You can probably, if you go in there once a week and just see what's going on, I promise you that you'll probably see some sort of update with regards to Project Charm before too long. And of course, we've got 11.8, which is going to be available to monthly subscribers of Adobe Captivate. Hopefully there's some fixes in there that we can all take advantage of. I know that there's some concern over perpetual users of Adobe Captivate, perpetual licenses. These are the people who pay $1,400 and then they own the software outright. They will not be receiving 11.8 as far as I know. But the vast majority of people are on a monthly subscription at this point, myself included. I can't see why I would buy software that's essentially going to become obsolete. I'd rather rent it as I'm using it. And of course, if you're a freelancer like me, you can just pass that expense on to your end user, your end customer, which is what I do. Guys, thank you for joining this live stream today. I hope you found something interesting out. But I'm, again, encouraging you, watch the video again. Go through with a fine-tooth comb and look for those things. And please share them in the comments below. Have a great day, guys.
If you thought this video was helpful, please like and share it with your colleagues. If you need help with Adobe Captivate, hire Paul for one-on-one instruction. Paul's goal is to focus on lessons based on your specific needs. Visit his website at captivateteacher.com. And don't forget to